The Bears take on the Titans, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. The Titans are the 6-point favorite at home. Totals 46 and a hook. We've won 2 out of our last 3 extra daily picks on patreon.com/BrockPage. And access to the extra daily pick costs just $2.99. We're also 2-1 in our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We have over 625 members signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, when it comes to this Bears-Titans matchup, Chicago is currently plus 210 for some money line cash. And despite losing their last 2 straight, Chicago's actually successfully covered the point spread in 3 out of their last 4 contests. They've been a fairly decent covering team this year. The Bears have also played well on the road, going 3-1 straight up when they travel. They also went 3-1 against the spread in those ball games. The Bears are in the top 10 in fewest road points allowed. They're also in the top 10 in the league in fewest yards allowed per play. Now, this Bears D has 17 sacks on the season and 9 takeaways. Safety Tayshaun Gibson has 2 interceptions from the secondary, along with 43 total tackles. He's having a solid first half of the season. Of course, can't mention the Bears D without Khalil Mack. Mack is currently leading the club in sacks with 6.5, and keep in mind, he's always double and triple teamed. They always got a tight end on him, a running back, kind of chip blocking him. He's also got 11.5 tackles for loss and 2 forced fumbles. And of course, Roquan Smith, this guy is everywhere. He leads the team in tackles with 71 of them. He also has 10 tackles for loss and 5 PDs. Now, the Bears are in the top 3 in the league in fewest second quarter points allowed. They're also in the top 3 in fewest fourth quarter points allowed as well, and that's really where it counts, where it matters. And of course, if you're into historical trends, I always like to throw a couple of those in here. The Bears have successfully covered the number in 4 out of their last 5 meetings with Tennessee. And speaking of the Titans, they're currently on a 2-game losing streak where they went 0-2 against the number in those contests. They lost 31-20 to the Cincinnati Bengals this past Sunday. Real bad loss for the organization, and that was a game where the Titans had scored just 7 total points through the first 3 quarters. Now, Tennessee's just 2-5 against the point spread in their last 7 contests on the season. They also rank in the top 10 in the league in most passing yards allowed per contest. The Titans have failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 8 meetings with the NFC North. And when it comes to the total in this one, Tennessee's gone 4-0 to the over at Nissan Stadium. They also saw 6 out of their 7 contests on the season get over the line. Lots of overs for this Tennessee ball club. Meanwhile, the Bears on the other side, they're coming off a game with the Saints that flew over the number themselves. 2 out of their last 4 road games also got over the line. So with all that said and done, give me the underdog Chicago Bears plus 6 and the over 46.5 in that ball game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines and personal leans out for NFL Week 9. And of course, this is part 2. If you want to see part 1 of NFL Week 9, link for that video is in the comment section below. But once again, happy Tuesday to you. Hopefully you guys had a great start to your week. Now, before we go ahead and dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, I just want to quickly remind you once again that we are currently 2-1 in our last 3 extra daily picks on patreon.com/BrockPage. And access to that content costs just $2.99. We also won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package plays on that site as well. We once again currently have over 625 members signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join them and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And moving on, when it comes to the free content right here on YouTube, we're going to take a look at the New York Football Giants, and I guess I'm going the wrong way here. There we go. New York Football Giants taking on the Washington football team, 1 p.m. Eastern start time. Washington's the 3-point favorite at home. Totals 42.5. The G-Men are plus $1.35 on the money line. New York's been a solid covering team as of late. Don't let their record fool you. They're 2-0 against the spread in their last couple of games. 4-1 against the number in their last 5. They've successfully covered the point spread against the likes of Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Dallas, and the Rams. The Giants are also a perfect 4-0 against the spread when they travel this year. They have not failed to cover the number away from home. Very good traveling team with regard to betting. They're in the top 10 in fewest rush yards allowed, top 5 in fewest third quarter points allowed as well. The Giants have 20 sacks on the season, along with double-digit takeaways. Cornerback James Bradbury has 3 interceptions on the season, a dozen PDs, and 28 tackles for Bradbury. Defensive end Leonard Williams has 4 sacks on the season as well, 29 tackles and 7 TFLs. And of course, linebacker Blake Martinez has 82 tackles on the season. He is having an outstanding year, 2 sacks and 6.5 tackles for loss. Blake also has a forced fumble and a fumble recovery on the year as well. Now, the New York Football Giants are currently 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 road games dating back to last season. They're taking on a Washington football team who lost 5 out of their last 6, and they rank in the bottom 3 in the league in scoring on average per game. Now, Washington's throwing for less than $1.95 per contest, and they're ranking the bottom 3 in yards per play. Now, this Washington O-line has allowed 26 sacks on the season. Meanwhile, the best rusher on this Washington squad is averaging only 53 yards on the ground per game. Now, the football team failed to cover the point spread in 4 out of their last 6, and they also rank in the top 5 in most first quarter points allowed, so really putting themselves behind the 8 ball early. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, Washington's last 3 straight all stayed under the posted number. No real surprise there, as they've struggled to put the ball in the end zone. Meanwhile, the Giants saw 3 out of their last 4 road games stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward an underdog in this one. Give me the underdog Giants +3 and the under 42.5 in that contest. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Raiders-Chargers, 4:05 p.m. East. The Chargers are the 1.5-point favorite at home. Total's 54 and a hook. The Raiders are +105 for an outright win. Now, the Raiders have won 2 out of their last 3 victories over Cleveland and Kansas City during that span, playing some pretty good football right now. They also successfully covered the number in 2 of those those 2 victories. The Raiders have been very good on the road this year. 3-1 straight up when traveling, 3-1 against the spread in those contests. They rank in the top 10 in the league in road rushing. They're also in the top 10 in yards per play away from home as well. Josh Jacobs has carried it 147 times for 522 yards and 5 scores. This Raider offense is gaining 127 yards a game on the ground. They are taking on a Chargers team who's setting records for blown leads this season. The Chargers have lost 5 out of their last 6, and they've also dropped 2 out of their last 3 at home. So just keep those particular figures in mind if you're looking to back LA. They're also in the bottom 3 in fourth quarter scoring, top 3 in most third quarter points allowed. So really struggling in many different facets of the game. The Chargers have also failed to cover the point spread in 7 out of their last 8 divisional contests, of course, dating back to last season. So once again, try to throw in a historical trend every now and then, and that certainly is not in the Chargers' favor. Now, total-wise, the Chargers' last 4 ball games all got over the posted number. Meanwhile, the Raiders on the other side are 3-1 to the over when they travel, 6-1 to the over for the entire season. Ton of overs between these 2 ball clubs. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward another underdog. Give me the underdog Raiders +1.5 and the over 54.5 in that game. All right, next matchup, it is going to be Dolphins-Cardinals, 4:25 p.m. Eastern start time. The Cardinals are the 5-point favorite, totals 48 flat. The Fins are +175 on the road. Now, Miami is on a 3-game winning streak, victories over the Rams, Jets, and Niners during that stretch. The Dolphins have successfully covered the point spread in 5 out of their last 6. They rank in the top 3 in the league in fewest points allowed per contest. They're also in the top 3 in fewest pass yards allowed on the road. So I know that a lot of folks concerned about Tua being the quarterback here this week for his second start. But this defense of Miami has the ability to keep him in ball games. And as a matter of fact, this Dolphin defense has gotten to the quarterback 19 times, and they forced 13 turnovers. Cornerback Xavier Howard leads the secondary with 4 interceptions, along with 8 PDs and 18 total tackles. Edge rusher Emmanuel Ogba also has 6 sacks on the season, a couple of forced fumbles for Manny, and linebacker Jerome Baker currently leads this club in tackles with 59 of them. He also has a pair of sacks and 3 tackles for loss. The Dolphins are in the top 10 in fewest yards allowed per play, top 3 in fewest first quarter points allowed on the road. Now, Miami has also successfully covered the point spread in 4 out of their last 6 against the NFC. I'm going to lean toward another underdog in this one. I know people have concerns about Tua, but this Dolphins defense does have the ability to keep them in this one. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Dolphins +5 and the over 48. Next matchup, Sunday Night Football, Saints-Bucks, 8:20 p.m. Eastern start time. The Bucks are the 4.5-point favorite, totals 54 at a hook. The Saints are +175 for some money line cash. Now, the Saints have failed to cover the point spread in their last 3 straight. They also failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6. New Orleans is in the top 10 in most points allowed per contest, top 10 in most fourth quarter points allowed on the road. New Orleans has also failed to cover the number in 2 out of their last 3 away from home. They're taking on a Tampa team who's on a 3-game winning streak. The Bucks have also won 6 out of their last 7, and they find themselves a perfect 3-0 at Raymond James Stadium. The Bucks are in the top 3 in home scoring, top 10 in home rushing, believe it or not. A lot of folks thinking about this high-powered passing attack, but they do have the ability to run the ball. And of course, Ronald Jones has touched it 117 times for 529 and 4 rushing touchdowns. Jones is averaging 4.5 yards a carry. The Bucks are gaining over 100 yards a game on the ground. Now, the Bucks are also passing for nearly 275 yards a game. Tom Brady's thrown for nearly 2,200 yards on the season and 20 touchdowns. And not a name you would particularly think of when it comes to this Tampa Bay squad, but Scotty Miller. He's caught 25 balls for 400 yards and a couple of scores. And of course, big wideout Mike Evans has 30 catches for 373 and 7 receiving touchdowns. This Buccaneer defense also ranks in the top 5 in fewest points allowed, top 3 in fewest rush yards allowed as well. Linebacker Devin White has 68 total tackles and 5 sacks. He also has 9.5 tackles for loss and a fumble recovery. JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, has 6.5 sacks for this Bucs defense as well. 7.5 TFLs and 3 forced fumbles. And of course, can't forget about cornerback Carlton Davis, who has 4 interceptions from this secondary and 13 PBUs. Now, total-wise, Tampa's last 2 straight both got over the number. 2 out of Tampa's last 3 home games also got over the line. Meanwhile, the Saints on the other side are 3-0 to the over when traveling, 7-0 to the over for the entire season. Ton of overs for New Orleans. But with all that said and done, give me the Tampa Bay Bucks -4.5 and the over 54 and a hook in that contest. All right, next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Monday Night Football. I'm talking about the Patriots-Jets, 8:15 p.m. Eastern start time. New England's the 7-point favorite on the road. Totals 41, juice to the under. The Jets are +250 for an upset win. New York's 0-7 straight up on the year, 1-6 against the spread in those contests. They're averaging less than a dozen points a game, and they rush for under $1.60 per contest. They're taking on a Patriots team who's in the top 5 in rushing, top 10 in fourth quarter scoring on the road. The Pats rush for $1.60 a game, with quarterback Cam Newton rushing into the end zone 6 times this season. So as much as he's struggled, as much as the Patriots have struggled, really one of their strong points is they can move the ball on the ground. Rex Burkhead has also scored twice on the ground and averages 4 yards a carry. This New England D also ranks in the top 10 in fewest pass yards allowed on the road. J.C. Jackson has 4 interceptions from this secondary, 8 PBUs and 2 fumble recoveries. Safety Adrian Phillips also has 48 tackles and an interception. The Pats are in the top 3 in the league in fewest second quarter points allowed on the road. And when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of New England's last 4 did stay under the posted number. Meanwhile, the Jets on the other side, their last 4 straight stayed under the line themselves. Both offenses really struggling this year. But with all that said and done, give me the Patriots -7 and the under 41 in that ball game. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind, we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.